let's just get straight into it. Right now, you have exactly what you want. Even if your life feels distressing, chaotic, unsafe, on some deep level, this is what you want. We're going to unravel and unpack this today. This is the core reason why change is so difficult and so hard. And I'm going to talk you through how we can make real meaningful change. The thing we all want most ultimately is to survive. So we want to feel safe. We want to have our needs met. So the thing that's most important to us is certainty. Think how much you dislike uncertainty, right? So our main goal in life is to feel safe, and the way that we do that is through finding certainty. So what you want most, above all, as a human, is for the thing that you expect to happen to actually happen. And that's why we as humans create these patterns and stories around what we think is going to happen next in our lives based on what we do. And it's comforting to us when the thing that we expect to happen then happens. And we learn this at a young age as well. So think about the sunrise. Every day we expect the sunrise and the sun to set. Think how wild and mind-blowing it would be if we woke up and the sun just didn't rise. We would feel so unsafe, we would feel so panicked, because the thing that we expected to happen, the thing that we've created our whole lives around, hasn't happened. So what is happening when your life is feeling chaotic and distressing and you feel unsafe? Maybe it's in your job, in your relationships, in your financial situation, and you're thinking, I want to change my life, and you go and you try and do something differently, but you still end up feeling completely unsafe, things still feel chaotic. What is happening here? It's because at some point earlier in your life, you learned that chaos, panic, distress was how life goes, was how life is. So your expectation was set at this level that life feels chaotic, life feels distressing. So that's your expectation. Every day you wake up and you expect chaos, you expect distress, you expect anxiety, depression, whatever it is. And so no matter what you do, you're wanting to find that again. You're wanting to find, it feels safe to you, so you're wanting to find that chaos. You want to have your expectations met. So I'll use an example for me and relationships with men in particular, that I expect men to be emotionally unavailable and I expect them to stonewall me. So I expect to be ghosted physically, emotionally, to be left abandoned, for them to not engage with me in conversations about their feelings, their inner world, all the good stuff. That is my expectations set at a very young age. And it's not what I want, but I still got it so much, even though I was like, but I don't want this. But then when I went out there and dating, like, that's still what I got. And I was like, so confused. I was like, what is happening here? I wanted men. I wrote my list. I was like, I want men to engage with me in conversation about their emotional landscape. I want to have these meaningful, deeper connections and intimacy. I want to feel respected and be able to respect the man sitting across from me. I want us to have this shared sense of communication. So even though I was saying this is what I want, I'd learned not to expect that. So my expectation was still, well, this is never going to happen. So I'd go out there kind of looking for it, but my expectation was just like, but it's not going to happen. And this was happening subconsciously. So then when a man is like that with me, or was like that with me, it's something I've been healing, was like that with me, I would freak out and be so uncomfortable. And I'd want to return to the place where they're like, no, you're supposed to be emotionally absent. You're supposed to be stonewalling me. You're supposed to be ghosting me at this point. It was so confusing to me that they would be respectful and that they want to be sharing and want to be having these conversations, that I panicked and freaked out. And I was like, that's not what I expect. That's not what I expect to get back. My worldview is of these avoidant men. So when my worldview gets upended, I'm like, oh, whoa, no, this is not right. The same way, like if the sun didn't rise, I'd be like, whoa, this is not right. So it's more important to me to move back to that place of certainty and to find comfort in the place of like, no, you're supposed to be unavailable to me. You're supposed to be stonewalling me. Like, that's what I know. So even though I'm saying I don't want that, actually that is what I want, because it feels safe and it feels certain to me and it feels like what I know and it feels like what I expect of the world. And I know this is how it works, because I've been watching it literally in progress over the last whatever, 6 months or so. I have a really excellent therapist who is incredibly professional, very respectful, listens very attentively, is very engaged with my story and what I'm talking about. And it freaks me out. Like, it freaked me out so much at the beginning. I was like, who is this person? Like, I do not understand why he's listening to me. Like, what is going on? And it gave me such bad anxiety to be in that place. And this is nothing to do with him being, he's a very good therapist. Like, it was the fact that it was completely opposite to my worldview and it freaked me out. It's just an example of how unsettling it is, even though we say we want X. If that's different to what we expect to happen, it's so unsettling and so uncomfortable that we will want to return back to just what our initial expectations are. And this is what makes change really, really difficult. So what we really want to know is, how do we change our expectations to get what we actually are saying we want, not what our subconscious is like, no, I want this safety, I want this safety, I want this certainty of what I've come to expect from past experiences in life. How do we actually change our expectations to begin to expect, like, no, the things that we say we want are actually going to happen? How do we do that? How do we bridge that gap? Well, it's the most simple but the most difficult thing, is that we have to begin to gradually introduce the things that we say that we want. In order to change our expectations, those things actually have to be introduced into our lived experience, and slowly and gradually. Like, this is the thing that's really important. You have to do it consciously. You can't just have like a whole new world dumped upon you and expect yourself to be fine with it and be like, well, this is happening now, so my expectations are changing. No, you've got to be so gentle. Like, this is nervous system work, it's somatic work as well as cognitive work. So it's intentional, it's slow, it's conscious, and it's recognizing that it will feel uncomfortable and it will feel hard, even though you know it's the right thing. And I really want to emphasize this, because this is something that shocked me and made me feel very uneasy and a bit ungrounded, is that I was feeling both things at the same time. So I was receiving the thing that I wanted, and I was recognizing consciously that yes, this is what I want. I want this respectful, engaged conversation with this man. But the other part of me was just like, this is not safe, like, run away from this. This is not what you expect to be happening. Like, this isn't right. And to have both things happening at the same time within your body, within your mind, is very challenging, and it's very confusing, and you need to just stay so present with yourself, and you need to stay present with both and recognize that both are happening at the same time. Recognize that it is confusing, but that ultimately you know which one you want to move towards. You know you want to move to this new expectation where you're going to have the thing that you consciously want, and not the scared part of yourself that's learned some other expectation that's actually hurting you or is distressing for you. So another good example of this is in business building. So it's not a good idea to just quit your job, start a business, and expect to be a multimillionaire overnight or even within a year, because that is so far from your lived experience up to this point. Again, this is something that I did, and I do not recommend it. It's been very challenging to build my business in this way, but to just quit and be like, okay, now I'm going to have a business. It's so, so different working for yourself versus working for others. And even if you really want your own business and you want that to be successful, you've got to recognize that you don't have any patterning in your background that suggests that that's going to be possible. So all that will happen if you try and dive headfirst into it is that you'll just freak out and you'll want to run away from it. And you won't want to go back to being in full-time employment because you knew that was distressing. So then you get caught in this like halfway house. And let me tell you, this is exactly where I've been caught for long periods of time as well, where I'm like, I can't go back to being in full-time employment, but I also I'm feeling so uncomfortable about being full-time in my business that I'm just like in limbo, like in purgatory about it. So I have these two conflicting expectations. My expectation that if I'm employed in a job, full-time or part-time, then I'm going to be miserable and unhappy. And then the other side, the expectation is that I don't know if I can make this business work. because I haven't done it before and I don't have any lived experience of it and I don't know what that feels like. So to get out of this space, it's the same principles. You've got to do it slowly, you've got to do it consciously, you've got to do it gently. So start with selling something that is really cheap, like sell something for £10, sell something for $20 to one person, and get that experience into your nervous system. And then gradually build and build and build until you're like, oh, I expect to be able to sell these things and I expect that it will work. So you're building this new expectation into your worldview that you can be a successful business owner slowly, gently, over time. And that is the main takeaway, is give yourself time for this new expectation to settle in and create this new worldview for yourself in your mind and in your nervous system, so that your body gets used to it as well. And that way, you will bring your expectations of the world into alignment with what you're consciously saying that you want, the things that do feel good to you, the things that do fill you up and leave you feeling successful in your own life. And you will no longer feel the need to be pulled back into the safety of like the chaos, the distress, the drama, the anxiety. You won't need that anymore, and you will stop seeking it out because you've changed your expectation of what you know is possible for you and what feels safe for you. Loving you.